The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
CeeDee Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
It's a Wednesday edition of Talking Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the SWBC studios. Welcome in, everybody. Alongside Patrick No C. Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans. This is now the Emmy Award-winning Talking Cowboys crew. Isaiah took home another Emmy last night. We've got a new Emmy winner in Patrick No C. Walker. Congratulations, sir.
I appreciate that, man. It's still hasn't sunk in yet, but quite surreal to experience that. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but at the same time, it also goes to the greatness of those around you. So surround yourself with greatness that will help you, better tap into the greatness that is within you, and then you can make some big things happen in this life. So I'm blessed to be around you guys, blessed to be a part of this organization, and guys like one sitting at this table, Derek, Nick Eatman, just the list goes on and on. Ambar Garcia, guys behind the scenes, Alex Lilly, Chris Beam, Jazz. I mean, we got so many elite folks here that without them, none of this happens. So go team.
No way.
Squad.
It really is. It's a team effort. Do you know what the total number ended up being last night?
Not at all.
Did you bring them all home?
I loaded.
Because you made all the speeches.
Derek came and loaded them up in his vehicle.
Okay, so Derek came and got them.
He had them all. There was a lot.
Backed up the U-Haul.
It was a lot.
That was awesome.
It was a lot.
Brinks truck, if you will. He backed it up and loaded them up.
I want to say there was at least 40 of them things.
You think so?
Good Lord.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, congratulations to everybody in the department that ended up winning. For those
Derek knows how to stack some talent.
I was just about to say, for those that don't know, this department is uber talented in terms of what they do on a day-to-day basis, and we are just blessed to be a part of it along the way. But super happy, and we're the only show, the only podcast that has 3 Emmy winners as a part of it. More than 2. So just I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Just putting that out there.
I thought I'd sprinkle that.
I mean, there's JV and then there's varsity. So
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Pew pew.
All right. We've got lots to catch up on because since we were on the air Monday, things have happened around the building. Just a couple things along the way.
Making moves.
Moves have been made.
A little bit.
Papers have been signed, and it looks like there may be some more to come. But we're going to talk about CeeDee Lamb. He's back in the building. He was back in practice yesterday. 4 years, $136 million, 100 of that guaranteed. Really the deal that I think a lot of us anticipated, where it's just underneath the Justin Jefferson highest non-paid or non-quarterback to ever get paid in the NFL. But it is a significant contract, and now the first domino has fallen, and you're starting to see that, Pat.
Absolutely. And to say that CeeDee Lamb has earned this contract is a gross understatement. And also, when you're talking about it financially, you have to look at the fact that unlike Minnesota, Texas does not have any state taxes. So mathematically speaking, as far as take-home bread is concerned, CeeDee Lamb is actually the highest earning wide receiver in the NFL over Justin Jefferson. So I'm sure that came into the conversation as well. But yeah, now that CeeDee Lamb is on the books, and we spoke with him yesterday, and he talked about how ready he is, quote unquote, I'm ready for battle. He added 15 pounds of lean muscle in his workouts between Texas and South Florida. He's been working with Dak Prescott in the Dak yard. I mean, he's been doing everything he can to be ready for this moment. So he says he's a full go for Cleveland, and it looks like that's going to be the case. Up next, Dak Prescott. When does this happen? CeeDee Lamb had a fantastic quote when it comes to that. He was basically saying that he wants, everybody knows that CeeDee Lamb wants Dak Prescott here in the building for the foreseeable future. Also said, everybody knows Jerry Jones wants it to happen. And we all know Dak Prescott wants it to happen. So CeeDee Lamb said, let's get it done. Let's kill the speculation, end quote. So to hear wide receiver 1 completely on board, as we knew that he was, and I think we've talked about this off the cuff on several occasions, it's a package deal for me. right? If you're talking about extending Dak Prescott, you should be talking about getting the deal done for CeeDee Lamb. Now that you have the deal done for CeeDee Lamb, you need to get the deal done for Dak Prescott because of what they are for each other production-wise and in the locker room. So
It's a package deal.
Yeah, so now the question is, when does the Dak Prescott deal land? I'm not saying if. I said when it came to CeeDee Lamb, and here we are. I'm sticking with when it comes to Dak Prescott.
When would you get it done, Isaiah?
By Friday.
Yeah? That quick.
I like that.
Yeah.
Knock it out.
Yeah, I foresee Friday at the earliest. That's my expectation. And at the latest, I would say Wednesday of next week.
Wow. So not a long window.
No.
Hey, man, let's get Isaiah upstairs.
Yeah,
There's an elevator
Take
back
an
there.
elevator.
for a number of
Top
reasons. for a number of reasons. I mean, from the standpoint of you do not want to have these conversations, nor do you want to take attention away from the team leading into your first game of the season. Also, it has to get done by next Sunday.
Yeah.
By the first game, because I think it's known that if Dak Prescott touches the field in Cleveland without a contract, the probability of him coming back is slim to none.
Yeah.
Because there's a dude down in Las Vegas that would pay whatever is in his back pocket to ensure that he got down there, along with other teams. But
of course.
But we know that guy would pay a ton.
Would he be the most highly?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It would just be the biggest
Hands
free
down.
agent
Yes.
of all
Period.
time
Yes.
if he hit the free agency.
At
next
least
year.
this year. I mean, when Tom's deal was up,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
true.
mean,
That's the biggest of all time.
And there's a couple guys that have been out there like
Joe
that.
Montana.
Yeah,
But a
Brett
bigger
Favre.
name since Joe
Since-
Montana, since Tom Brady.
Brett
I mean,
Brett Favre. Oh yeah,
Brett Favre.
he would be the biggest name this offseason, no doubt about it.
100%.
Not even close. Especially if he has a year even comparable to what he did last year. If he's even in the MVP conversation whatsoever, that number is going to be astronomical, which is part of why they should get it done Friday to Wednesday of this week.
You can't run the risk of having a competition in terms of bidding on Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
That's not even in the cards. You can't allow that because
It doesn't taste good.
everybody has deep pockets when it comes to these 32 individuals who run these organizations. So that's the last thing you want, and you also don't want the distractions. And we also know that Dak and any other quarterback, when it comes to the regular season, I'm focused on winning games now.
Yeah.
And his cap hit this year would be 55 if a new deal isn't done.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no Jedi, but
So-
I think the deal is probably 58, probably around there.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll all hit this year.
No, it
No,
won't.
I'm
So-
saying
pass it
I
down the
think
line.
his annual.
Yeah, his
Yeah,
cash flow.
his
So,
cash flow is gonna be about 58.
and to add to Isaiah's point, one of the reasons that you should, and another reason you should have urgency to get this deal done is salary cap management purposes. So I put this out there on Twitter yesterday. CeeDee Lamb, he was set to hit the Cowboys for a little bit under $18 million fully guaranteed on that fifth-year option. By extending him, which in essence makes it a 5-year deal because he's under contract for 24 anyway, they turned that into only an $8.75 million hit. So you get over $9 million in savings right there. But wait, there is more. Dak Prescott currently set to hit the Cowboys cap in 24 for $66.27 million. If you can get an extension done before this season starts, that turns into $22 million in savings. That is a massive financial swing for the Cowboys.
That's like another Pro Bowl caliber player at a different position.
100%.
That's exactly what that
quite
is.
literally what it is. And
When you still need to pay Micah down the road as well.
And the caveat is that NFL teams are required to use roughly 90% of the total salary cap over a 4-year period. There's not a hard annual floor, but that's the general rule, right? But once they hit that floor, they can roll over 100% of the cap that's unused to the next year. So when you're talking about what does free agency look like, we know the Cowboys don't play in the first wave of free agency, but they have a Whale and Micah that they need to re-sign, and maybe they do want to get one or two guys. Nonetheless, these are huge salary cap numbers that we're talking about, in addition to the fact that the cap is going to go up in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right. So
Not expected to go up as much as it has.
no.
been.
It's not going to jump another $30 million, right? But it could. I think the projection right now is over 260. So because right now it's like 255.
I think it was like 10 million over the next 5 years is
right.
what it
So
would grow.
it's not going to
So
be-
it could be a little bit in there. Just
Yeah, it's not going
throughout.
to be exponentially explosive like it was from 23 to 24, but you're still going to see that growth. So all things considered, you're talking about pouring Scrooge McDuck money bin money onto your salary cap.
Yes.
And so to Isaiah's
Snow
point, you
angels.
want to get it done for all the reasons Isaiah said. and in addition to wide receiver 1 saying get her done, and the salary cap says get her done. Yeah. There's no reason not to.
So Dak is the next one up. I think we all kind of agree with that. Of
course.
Micah's after that, and then, of course, some sprinkled contracts in between there and now and then. Back to CeeDee Lamb real quick. Yesterday was our first look at him. It wasn't a full practice, wasn't a full – I mean, they weren't even in pads. They were just in helmets and then in jackets. But there were times where CeeDee Lamb was on a knee, and there were times where he was off to the side, and there's a difference between conditioning and working out by yourself and then team conditioning and running a full practice. Is there enough ramp-up time? We're now 11 days away from the opener, and Isaiah, I'll turn to you on this. Is there enough ramp-up time for CeeDee to be in game shape and be in CeeDee Lamb form come September 8th against the Browns?
I don't think he'll be 100%. I really don't.
Give me a ballpark number.
I mean, working out on your own, then getting with the team, resistance, fighting up against guys with pads, hitting, all that jazz that goes along with playing ball. I'd say you probably have an 85%, CD.
88%?
Yeah, maybe. I like that. I mean, that's just the reality of it. That's not to say that he's not willing or any of that jazz. That's just the reality of getting your body prepared. And I think the biggest threat is not his cardiovascular system. I think his biggest threat is making sure that he doesn't have any soft tissue injuries.
Well, on top of what you said, he gained 15 pounds of lean muscle on top of that, like carrying that around while doing drills, while conditioning. Now, that's going to be tougher too.
Yeah, I mean, in the game of football, when you're playing 7-on-7 or you're playing routes on the air, like, that's cool. Even if you're wearing the whole pad, all the pads at Dak's spot. What's the name of his field?
The Dak yard.
The Dak yard. Even if you're wearing all your pads at the Dak yard and getting your work in, it's still not the same, right? When you get up there and start pushing up against people and people are able to actually get real physical with you, it takes a lot more out of you. Also, it puts a lot more stress on your body. Right, you start talking about stress on your Achilles, stress on your calves, all your adductors, your hip flexors, your growings. We hear a lot of growing injuries come when guys haven't been around and playing actual ball for a while. This is just the reality. Yeah, definitely knock on all the wood you can find, but that is the risk you run when you give somebody 6 days of practice, possibly.
About
that.
Yeah,
about 6 days of real practice before going out and playing a game at 100%. So I don't expect him to be in midseason form by that time. And he is behind. That's true. He is behind everybody else when it comes to physical conditioning. That's no knock on his offseason training.
It's just the facts.
It's just the facts of he has not been playing football against other grown men for the last 6 weeks, and everybody else has.
What would be a realistic expectation week one? Because I can already see it, and I know, Patrick, I know you probably know where I'm going with this. Week one, game's over. Everybody's looking up the box score, and there's 4 targets, 3 receptions for 21 yards, no touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb on week one. Everybody's saying, we paid this guy.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
What?
There's a chance that happens.
I mean, but you shouldn't freak out in that moment.
No, you don't freak out.
There's no freak out there.
Good luck with that.
And people don't want to hear
especially
ramp
with
up.
the contract. Especially with the contract.
You have $100 million and you got $36 million that just got direct deposited to your account. The last thing you want to hear is ramping him up.
Yeah.
And people don't want to hear that, and we get it. But again,
hit that go route.
Yeah,
as soon as he
he's not a transformer. He's a human.
But
and this ain't Madden. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
These guys need to be working.
Exactly.
And also keep in mind, this is a long season, right? Football is a long season.
It's even longer now.
Even longer now. And you need him for the long haul. So while he being CeeDee Lamb, while he said he's going to be ready for a full slate, we'll see if the Cowboys give him a full slate of targets, because there's a difference between targets and reps. I mean, he could easily be a decoy on plenty of those and still be impactful because he's on the field. Yeah. But to Isaiah's point, I mean, and CeeDee said it himself. He just needs to get thumped. He needs to get thumped. Yeah. And he needs to feel that contact violence, which is what he termed it, which is accurate. He needs to feel the contact violence. They're not going to be able to thump him up over these next several practices like they would have in training camp. Correct. Right? So his first actual, wreckage is a slant route over the middle in Cleveland, and they're like, welcome back, CeeDee Lamb. So I will say, I hope that he has a phenomenal first week. My expectation, though, is that that everyone's expectations need to be tempered as far as what he might do or might not do in week one. If he goes out and he has, 10 catches for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, fantastic, sensational. If it's only 4 targets for 21 and no touchdowns, well,
that means Cook's 8.
That does mean. Hopefully, it means Cooks 8.
Hopefully.
It means Jake Ferguson 8.
Tolbert.
It means Tolbert 8.
Yeah, you have other guys.
Deuce Vaughn, Jalen Brooks. I mean,
You have other guys.
Kavontae Turpin, don't you do it?
And that was the benefit. That was the benefit of.
Oh, you mean Turby Speed?
Oh, jeez.
God.
But no, that's the benefit of when you look at the opposing side of it, right? CeeDee Lamb not being in camp.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks
Yes.
and Dak Prescott look like Siamese twins out there, right? Like they were just joint at the hip. These guys were in unison, right? So that's the benefit because now as you're ramping up CeeDee Lamb, he's still a threat, regardless if he's in midseason form or not. You still better respect him.
Yeah, you go man to man with him, single.
He's going to Tostito you.
Yeah,
at Tostitos Plaza. It doesn't matter, right? So you better respect him the same way. And now you have the chemistry of a Dak Prescott and a Brandon Cooks that might not have been at that level had CeeDee been there. So there's benefit to that. You still have CeeDee and what he's capable of doing, but until we get on that one accord, I got you, B. Cooks.
And don't forget about the rookie Ryan Flanoy. I mean, he's making some waves. We saw him make another sensational catch yesterday in practice. So that all to say that as CeeDee Lamb is ramped up. Fact is, he's going to be on the field, which makes him, if nothing else, one of the best decoys in the NFL in Week 1. And then these other guys who were able to take opportunities and turn them into production for the Cowboys in the preseason, Dak gets to lean on those guys as well.
$2 million a game decoy.
Yeah, and Brandon Cooks, by the way, side note, he returned to practice yesterday. He missed the final week in practice in Oxnard due to personal reasons. He missed a couple practices prior to that with some knee soreness, but he was back in full pads yesterday, so great news there.
Great news. Over under 75 yards for CeeDee in Week 1.
Over.
I'm going to go under.
I think I would go barely under.
I was going to say
60s.
like 77. So I'm like barely
Right on
over.
it. I'm not very good at making CeeDee Lamb bets. The last time I did that, I ran a half marathon. So I mean,
Nothing wrong with the fitness.
We can make a Brandon Cooks bet.
Which was your Brandon Cooks bet?
What's your Brandon Cooks? You don't want to make a Brandon Cooks bet.
Not with
You don't want to make a Brandon Cooks.
not with us.
It's going to get spicy in here.
Listen, we don't have enough hot sauce. I had somebody bring that up to me the other day. I was doing an event with the Cowboys Club, and one of the great members there was like, I just all the time I laugh at the hot sauce.
That's the greatest one.
I'm gonna wear that shirt Tuesday. I'm gonna wear it. I made a shirt with Nick on the front of it with the hot sauce. Yeah, just dying.
Spice is
that
nice.
guy. Yeah, poor guy.
Do you remember the mudding shirt, the catfishing that had your face on it?
The what?
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about mudding.
Yes.
Like getting in the mud for catfish.
Yeah. Oh, the noodling.
Yeah.
Noodling.
Noodling. Yeah. Need to bring that shirt back.
Would you ever do that?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. All right. When we come back,
It's OG stuff.
here on Talking Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb may not be the only move the Cowboys are making this week as they
What do you mean, Kyle?
they're looking at another former Pro Bowler, and we may have some news here on Talking Cowboys. We'll talk about what the Cowboys are doing with their roster building when we come back.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Life doesn't stop when the economy is uncertain. The market might not care you have a wedding to plan or a kid to put through school. and inflation doesn't know you've got a family to feed. But Bank of America does, and is here to help. With digital tools to help you save and local experts nearby, you can keep life moving forward the way you need it to. Bank of America. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com. Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, Equal Credit Opportunity Lender.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Welcome back to Talkin' Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. This portion of the Talkin' Cowboys is brought to you by Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Quaker Oats, trusted since 1877.
Woo! Bring out the good oats.
You know who had 1877 rushing yards in a single season one time?
That is elite segue.
I'm just kidding. He didn't do
I was
that.
about to say, good grief,
No.
that's perfect.
The most he ever had was in 2020 at 1,557 yards with 16 touchdowns.
Who's that
Who
guy?
might that be?
Dalvin Cook, running back, formerly of the sounds familiar. Formerly of the Minnesota Vikings. He then made the switch to the Baltimore Ravens in 2023, and then ended with the New York Jets. Well, he was released earlier this week, and reports are right now, Patrick, online, the NFL posted it this morning, that the Cowboys are expected to sign Dalvin Cook. Nothing official yet.
Nothing official.
But what do you think about that move and really the possibility it brings for this running back?
Well, first, let's frame it the right way. The expectation is that the Cowboys will sign Dalvin Cook, but to the practice squad, okay? Not to the 53-man roster. I saw some fans that were concerned. What does this mean for Deuce Vaughn? Nothing. What does it mean for maybe Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott as it stands? Nothing. The goal is to bring Dalvin Cook in on the practice squad, ramp him up, get him ready for whenever they might need him. He'll serve as insurance, not different from what we were talking about on Monday when I was speaking Royce Freeman to the practice squad for insurance purposes. And just as a reminder, practice squad players can be elevated a maximum of 3 times, so they'll have 3 elevations for Dalvin Cook. On the 3rd elevation, they have to decide to either keep him on the active roster or they have to release him. But he's vested. He's not subject to waivers. So they could play that game a couple of times before the trade deadline, because after the trade deadline, even vested veterans are subject to waivers. So they could elevate him 3 times before the trade deadline at the end of October / beginning of November, release him without making an active roster move corresponding, and then re-sign him like the next day. So they could play that game if they want to.
So it gives them time to see where he's at currently.
Lots.
I think expectations need to be tempered a little bit for Dalvin Cook. His best year, like you said, the 1,500 yards, that was 2020.
It's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. It's a big name for sure, and that's always nice to see. But the last time he played 17 games, he only had 1,100 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. That was the last time he played 17 games, which was not.
I would take 1,100 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns right now, but I don't think that's happening.
I think combined with Zeke, Rico, I think you're going to get that. At least.
Yeah.
You're going to get way more.
So we had this conversation, right? I think we talked about this on Monday. What does he provide that's different than what you currently have in the room?
Completely agree. Yeah, like you said, we had this conversation, and I haven't changed my thought process.
No, it creates the redundancy, which is why you put that on the practice squad instead of the active roster. Same reason I said you keep Royce Freeman around. It's for insurance if you were to, suffer injury to Rico or Zeke.
Do you have any concerns, about personality, fit, character, whatever it might be, the fact that he's bounced around a little bit here in his last few years?
I don't have any personality or character concerns.
I don't know the man, so I'm just asking.
I don't have any personality or character concerns. I've quite literally never heard of Dalvin Cook being any type of locker room issue with any organization. Yep. And then also keep in mind, albeit on the opposite side of the ball where Zimmer is now, there's that relationship as well. So this is something that Zimmer gave a green light to, and I doubt that Zimmer would have given Mike McCarthy and Wilt and Clay play, and Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, the green light if in their time together in Minnesota, Dalvin was any kind of distraction. So, no, I don't have any character issues at all. I think for me, it's much like what Josh is saying. You have to look at tempering your expectations production-wise, because one of the numbers you want to keep an eye on is the fact that the last time he was touching the ball, he averaged only 3.2 yards per carry.
Yeah.
So he most certainly at this point in his career needs a dominant offensive line. Good news is that the Cowboys might actually field a dominant offensive line.
Still a lot of hope up front.
It might.
And if you think about it, he went to the Ravens when they were in desperate need of a running game at the end of their season, and I think he played in I think he played 2 games for them.
Yeah.
After being on the practice squad, and ultimately didn't. The yards per carry was pretty low there as well, and they decided not to bring him back either.
What was ultimately the reason why he left the Jets? Because there was a lot of hype that offseason in regards to him going to the Jets. I know, but it was a lot of hype that year. Right? It was Aaron Rodgers coming in. It was Cook coming in.
The Jets are a mess.
I don't know if they're that much of a mess. And I mean, I know they are as like a general historic franchise of everything, but their depth chart is pretty damn good.
Wasn't it in regards to him not?
If we're talking about running backs.
But it's also, and this is what I mean when I say it was a mess.
It was sharing,
because he signed with the Jets under the understanding and assumption that he was the guy. But then he got there and they were like, just kidding, Breece Hall, step up.
Yeah.
And that immediately turned into a disgruntled version of Dalvin Cook.
Why is that a problem?
Why is it a problem? You'd have to ask him why is that a problem.
That's what I want
because
to know.
the production,
because here,
Breece Hall's production is unjustified.
I'm sure the expectation has been set substantially differently, and that might be the thing. That might be the thing. And I'm that type of person as well, right? Set my expectations properly.
Same.
So now you're walking into a situation where you understand that it's a shared.
If he feels like he was lied to by the Jets, then you can see why the dominoes fell the way they did. In this situation, they're looking at him and saying, practice squad, ramp up, and then we will see. Mm-hmm. So he knows coming in that's the lane he's in.
Well, I mean, he played 15 games with the Jets, so it wasn't like they held on to him all year. So.
Well, one start though,
and he was banged up early in the year. He was banged up, and then Breece Hall had the coming out party at MetLife against the Giants, and then that was the end of the real role there. They've got Braylon Allen, who's a rookie. They have Isaiah Davis, who's a rookie.
You had to say that name, didn't you?
Both of those guys are really damn good.
I know.
Israel Abanikanda.
I wanted some of that Braylon.
I know. But they have this young stable of running backs that they can find out of all these draft picks that were 5th round or above. And Dalvin Cook doesn't necessarily fit the young running back mold that the Jets are looking for. I think that's ultimately why they moved on. I don't think it's because of anything Cook did or said or how he played specifically. I just don't think he is the youth that the Jets are looking for in the running back spot, because they need to stay young outside of Aaron Rodgers in those other positions in order to have some success this year on offense.
Agreed.
So, but overall, is this just a low risk, high reward sort of deal? Practice squad.
No, I think it's a safe bet for the Cowboys.
Not a whole lot going on.
It's a safe bet for the Cowboys. You get somebody who's a veteran. You get somebody who's tried and true. You get somebody who can run downhill, who can block, who can catch out the backfield, who just a handful of years ago was considered to be one of the best in the league. And now you come in here, like to your point, low risk. Come on to the practice squad. Let's get you in shape. Let's see what you're capable of. Right. Let's see where your mindset's at. Let's see how you can possibly contribute to this room. And if we see that's going to be something that you can do, then we'll elevate you. And if you produce, then we'll sign you.
And honestly, and we'll get to this. I'm not going to spoil my picks for back end of segment 3.
Yeah.
But let me just put it this way: Dalvin Cook is not the only running back that I would add to this practice squad. So
actually, let's do it now.
Let's do it now. Okay.
Anyone interesting? My thought process was, what were the cuts that were surprising across the league, right?
Yep.
What were some of those guys, the names that popped up? I know Kadarius Toney from Kansas City was one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is that one of that you were looking at?
Not for the Cowboys. I thought it was surprising. That's because it's a big name.
Sure.
Granted, you saw the season that he had last year in Kansas City, which was pretty abysmal.
He was refreshed, though, overall over what happened with the Giants, though.
He was better in Kansas City than he was in New York, no doubt.
That's fair, but he did have a really rough season last season and did not play in the Super Bowl. Unactive.
A lot of blue tint
during the Super Bowl, and that had to affect his confidence level at some point. And obviously, being cut is interesting as well. Another interesting one for me was La'el Collins, who we brought in at the end of last season due to injuries on our offensive line.
He chose wrong.
It's interesting to see another Cowboy draft pick, or well, not necessarily draft pick, but signee on the waiver wire after roster cuts.
No. I was wiping something off. I just imagine just me touching on the names that you put out there. Lyle Collins really stands out for me in the aspect of I keep playing it back in my mind after I saw that he was released. If he had chosen to simply stay here, right, he would have at least had a chance at beating out Chuma Edoga. At least. I don't think so. He would not have beat out Tyler Guyton, but he would have had the opportunity. Obviously things did not go well for him in Buffalo, but I think he would have had a greater chance to make this offensive line roster. But that's neither here nor there now. But for me, I'm circling right back to the running backs. I'm looking at a name like Dante Foreman, and I'm also looking at a name like Frank Gore Jr. Okay, since we're talking about Buffalo, talk about Frank Gore Jr., right? Yes, I can appreciate why Dalvin Cook is expected to be added to the practice squad. 100% low risk, potentially high reward. But when you look at who the Cowboys released at the position as well, okay, I was just getting a text. I was checking to see if that was confirmation. But if you were looking at who the Cowboys released, 4 running backs, so Malik Davis, Nathaniel Pete, Snoop Connor, and Royce Freeman. Okay, I would love to have Royce Freeman back on the practice squad, but if it's Royce Freeman versus a Dante Foreman, I'm taking Foreman.
Is it because he's different?
He's different. He does provide that change of pace, and if Dalvin is going to give you insurance for Rico and Zeke, who's your insurance for Deuce Vaughn? So you need, and Dante is not as shifty or quick or small as Deuce Vaughn. However, he does have shiftiness in his game. He does have quickness and ability to catch out of the backfield and produce in space. Frank Gore, a little bit different, more of a bowling ball, right? Kind of like his dad.
Not as talented.
Just,
at least in
but
the early
I want to see what his upside is. I mean, if you can bring in a young guy like that, he's rookie, you can maybe develop into something for next year, maybe the year after, because you're going to need to solve this running back situation after this year. You didn't get a draft pick in for one this year, so you got to have one next year. But
Isaiah's on speed dial. They're going to sign him up before you know it.
Yeah, I mean,
I ain't got nothing for you.
No, you got reps. So for me, it's Dante Foreman and Frank Gore Jr. are the two names that kind of jump off the waiver wire for me. Now, my understanding is Dante Foreman has kind of like a gentleman's agreement, is what reports are saying. But money talks. So I'm sure if you sprinkle a little bit, because gentlemen like money too.
Yep.
So sprinkle a little bit more than what that gentleman agreement says, and you could probably get him on the practice squad.
That's fair enough. I brought up La'el Collins only because of injuries to our offensive line and thinking,
that's what I mean. Like, he would have had opportunity to make this 53.
But now, roster. I mean, it might be his third time coming back to.
You don't think so, Isaiah?
From what I understand,
they didn't put Chuma on IR. They did not put Chuma on IR.
That's fair.
So,
not yet.
Well, fair. It could happen.
It could still happen.
It could still happen today, but.
Yeah, from what I understand about La'el Collins, he's just physically not what he was. So that's the reason why I'd be against bringing him back.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's the reason why.
So who you got?
Stuck.
Who you got?
I don't know. There wasn't anybody that really jumped off the page. I'm looking at a list right now. There's nobody that I think that Dallas Cowboys have done a good job of filling their holes. I think if you're going to add anything, there's a couple of D lineman interior guys that you could have added. Mike Purcell, maybe the only other guy that I would add in there. But
you've already added some guys there.
I know, but I wouldn't stop.
Not to be confused.
I agree. Yeah, I wouldn't stop.
But I'm just saying you've already done that.
No, you
so
have
in
done
their
that.
head, they're done.
They've checked that box. Understood. Yeah. But that's the only area that I would feel that. I mean, you're not going to go sign no big corners like Xavier Howard. Yeah. You're not going to do any big splash moves like that. So you're rolling with who you have. Me personally, I want that interior D line loaded, and I think they've done a good job of filling that. We'll see exactly how effective that is come next week, but I want that interior D line locked and loaded, because if you can't move me or you can't stop me from the inside, you don't stand a chance of doing anything offensively against me. So the inside of that D line is absolutely everything. You can have all the pass rushers in the world. If I run up the middle, I don't have to deal with them.
Yeah, true. And to that point, real quickly, Linval Joseph was made official on yesterday. If we're talking news, and notes.
He was at practice too.
Yeah.
My ex-teammate.
Tell us about Linval Joseph.
He's awesome. I mean, we used to go to the club together, but no.
Okay.
No, but
Tell us about the other side.
No. I wanted to hear about that.
Not the Magic City.
I can watch film. I can watch film.
Not the Magic City.
No, we played
version.
We played together in New York together. He's a big boy. Obviously, he's been in the league for a minute now.
Y'all did all right in New York.
We did all right. We walked away with some jewelry, but he works hard. He goes about his business. You know, he's not crazy outspoken. He just does his job, and he's effective at it. He understands. Yeah, he understands what his role is. He understands that his job is to go in there and clog some things up and let the boys behind him roam free. Yeah. And obviously you talk about Jordan Phillips coming in, and he understands that as well, right? That was one of his first comments. Is like, if my linebackers were Pro Bowlers, then I did my job.
Loved that comment. Oh my gosh.
So the more guys you can get in that room that can do their job effectively, the better. And I know I'll leave it at that. I was going to get into it.
No, go
cliffhanger.
Listen, say it with your chest.
It's not Friday.
I don't care.
It is our Friday. Hold on.
This is our Friday.
Okay, that's true.
Last show of the week.
The reality is, Coach Zimmer is having a tremendous impact on the decisions that are being made upstairs.
Clearly.
And he is unwilling to wait on the development of certain players.
Say it. Say the name.
Mozzie.
There you go.
He has not seen what he needed to see to feel comfortable and confident going into this regular season from Mozzie. That's not to say that he's not going to become that, but we had the same conversation last year. And Mozzie's not big enough. He's not heavy enough. I don't think his shoulder's strong enough yet. And I don't think that he's as dominant as they want him to be yet. And you have to go fill those gaps. You can't, just because you've invested a first-round pick doesn't mean that you sit up there and just allow yourself to have a weak spot. You have to address it. And if you're bringing in Big Jordan Phillips, if you're bringing in Linval Joseph, if you still have Osa Odighizuwa, if you still have Goza, if you still have these cats in there, you're going to be pretty doggone solid. And guess what, young fella? I love you, but watch the big fellas work.
So here's where I am with that. Here's where I am with that. Even if Mike Zimmer looked at Mozzie throughout training camp and said, you know what, I feel good, James Brown style, I feel good. Right? You still had a depth issue.
Yes,
you still needed to bring in Linval Joseph. You still needed to make a move for Jordan Phillips. So I say that to say I don't know that these additions are as much of a demerit to Mozzie Smith's progress as it is Mike Zimmer understanding better than most defensive coordinators. And he said this shortly after he was hired. He said, stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. And that includes improving linebackers as well. So look at the moves that the Cowboys have made defensively. They've wildly upgraded linebacker play, and presumably we'll see how it plays out. But with the additions of Phillips and Linval Joseph, they've upgraded the run defense on that interior as well. We'll see how the edges work. Marshawn Nealon, he's taking the strides in the absence of Sam Williams. Carl Lawson expected to get an offer to come back to the practice squad, but talk about ramp up. I'm hearing that he'll need that.
He wasn't ready.
Yeah,
but
he needed that. But I think
if you can discourage, and I need the fans to understand this, if you can discourage a team from running the ball up the middle,
louder.
What are then your options offensively?
Louder.
Then they got
run it to the outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is linebacker.
Where you have Kendricks and Luafau and Overshown and Damone.
Damone,
You got speed. That's your advantage.
Kalen Carson likes to hit on the outside too.
Speed at the second level is your advantage. So I'm discouraging you from going up the middle, running the ball. So if I have to run it, I'm gonna try to go outside where I got to deal with Micah. No, I'm gonna go deal with D-Log. Oh crap. There's guys behind them that are flowing to the ball fast. Okay, cool. You know what? Screw that. I'm gonna drop back and pass. Okay, so if I'm gonna throw, guess what? Now I have interior.
Bing, bing.
I have to use a center and a guard to block these guys on the inside. So what does that make me do now? Okay, if those three guys are being occupied by two big fellas, then I have one-on-ones with my DNs. That's why Coach Zimmer is making these moves and bringing in these proven veterans. He's like, I don't have time to wait. I'm on a 1-year contract.
Oh, no.
I don't have time to wait on you, first rounder. I'm sorry. I love you. I love your development. You're coming along. Not ready yet. Give me the big fellas that can do this job. By the way, oh, yeah, Joseph, yeah, you played for me. You understand what was required. I got you, coach. Kendricks, you done this? Yeah, I got you, coach. Let's go play ball.
It's the inverse of Jonathan Hankins and Mozzie Smith.
I was just about to
Hankins
add
was
to
the
that.
starter. Mozzie was rotational. Now Mozzie's the starter, and Linval will rotate.
And Phillips has some flex there, too.
Correct.
Because Joseph and Phillips can both play the 1 and the 3. Joseph is more of a 1, while as Phillips is more of a 3, but they can both interchange back and forth. One of the most underrated losses of the season is Jonathan Hankins of the offseason, I should say.
Let him go.
Letting him go was a hurt for this team, and you knew it immediately when it happened.
Did they let him go, or
He chose.
He chose to leave.
Aiden Dirty?
Yeah.
It was-
Defensive
yeah.
coordinator.
He goes to Seattle.
It made sense.
Yes.
Seattle's defense. Oof.
Totally makes sense.
It's not like he went to Washington with the
Dun, dun, dun.
with the other bus load of guys.
However, I think
Was that a bus? Was that a bus?
That's a tugboat, man.
Can we clip that? I want to clip that just for like that was awesome. Yeah, I think you've upgraded in the veteran defensive tackle department because you had Jonathan Hankins. Now you have 2 guys and a more experienced Mozzie. I feel much better about this defensive tackle.
And you got some young fellas in there,
than
too.
I did. Exactly. Yeah. Justin Rogers has looked good. Daxon's looked good.
Yep.
I mean, there's things that you can take from that group and say they're moving in the right direction. All right, when we come back.
Quickly, a couple of quick transactions.
Can I do it on the other side of the break?
Yeah, you sure can.
Let's do it on the other side of the break because we got some transactions to talk about. We've got cuts to talk about. Who was the most surprising cut from this past cut day on Tuesday? More Talking Cowboys right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
This segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back into Talking Cowboys, everybody. Patrick Nosey Walker, Emmy Award-winning Patrick Nosey Walker.
I like how this sounds.
Josh Rodriguez. We've got Emmy Award-winning Isaiah Stanback.
Hello.
I'm Kyle Yeomans. All right, we've got to talk about cuts.
Quick transaction.
Let's talk transactions first.
Cowboys waived both Eric Scott and safety Julius Wood this week as part of their cut downs.
Don't tell me.
Both been claimed. Eric Scott to the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are doing some shopping in the Cowboys cupboard. Julius Wood to the Tennessee Titans.
That's a good pick.
And Wood was one that they really were hoping would clear so he could get to the practice
He wasn't
squad.
coming back, man.
No.
I told you about Woods as soon as we got to camp. I'm like, that 3-3? Nice.
You were on him very early.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
And he only made plays in the preseason,
Yeah.
No big deal.
No big
Cowboys
deal.
were like, good. Oh, dang it.
Well, to be fair though, I mean it's
Good
a
for
numbers
him,
game.
man.
Who on the active roster would you have sacrificed to carry five?
He's a guy.
safeties?
Yeah, he's a guy that you would love to have as.
See what I mean?
He's a
That
big
is-
safety, man.
He is.
I would have to dig into the running back cupboard, and maybe Deuce Vaughn doesn't make this team instead
And
of
that
Julius Wood.
That doesn't jive for me.
They weren't going
Turkey?
to do that.
Yeah, jive. Turkey. That doesn't jive for me.
They
Turkey.
weren't going to do something like that. So,
Well, good luck
Does
to
that
all
mean
those
Cooks
guys,
gets
man.
33 now?
what was that?
Does that mean Cook gets 33?
If
I'm
he
gonna
makes
say
the active
doubtful.
roster,
I was going to say let's just focus on Cook getting to the practice squad and getting ready before we start
before we get into
arguing which number he should have. Just get him in a
A lot
jersey.
of cooking going on
Yeah, just
now
get him
offensively.
in a jersey.
that. All right. Well, there's some more
Cooks in the kitchen.
Let's cook.
Well, did you see Kansas City cut a former Cowboy and then pick a Cowboy up, right?
Yeah. Well, also we didn't talk about the fact that it's not made official yet, but Peyton Hendershot
He's traded
to the Chiefs.
talk about it.
For a late round conditional pick. Cowboys were going to waive Peyton Hendershot, but they found a trade partner before they did that, and I think that's finesse. That's something that so many Cowboys fans have voiced so much angst about this front office over the past several seasons. Why just waive a guy and not find a trade partner? Well, here you go. They found a trade partner in the Kansas City Chiefs. Peyton Hendershot, who didn't ever really have a shot at making this roster once they signed Brevin Spann Ford, and we talked about that.
The
on
big
Monday.
fella.
Yep.
John Stevens Jr. came back from injury.
Both those
Luke
guys
Schoonmaker is not going anywhere this year.
Didn't go anywhere, did he?
And of course, Jake is Jake. So Cowboys are carrying 4 tight ends, and Peyton Hendershot dealt with injury again this training camp that cost him a lot of practices. Didn't flash when he was in the preseason.
The reality is he lost confidence after Schoonmaker got
and
drafted.
never regained it.
That's the reality.
Jake and Peyton went in 2 different directions when that Schoonmaker pick.
Yeah,
was
you remember
made.
hearing all the storylines of those two guys and the rookies and just the way that they had these high ceilings and
Hendershot has a lot of talent.
Yeah.
He has a lot of talent
Yes, he
that
does.
it's the mental for him. And if he can overcome that, and he had an amazing coach here, obviously. He was in a good room here. But if you were to leave this situation and go to any other situation to go learn from a veteran who possesses the same skill sets as you, just 30 pounds heavier, then
And a better blocker.
And better blocker. But it's Kansas City Chiefs. So
and he's got
Taylor Swift.
good luck to him. Good job.
he's got a famous girlfriend.
Dates Taylor Swift.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
Not
got
bad.
3 rings.
Travis can give him all the
There's a
game.
little bit of a difference between
No,
Trav,
there's definitely
Trav.
but it's sometimes it's a good reset.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of injuries here with the Dallas Cowboys, and my mind was not where I needed it to be confidence wise. And I left here, and I was literally almost back to the confidence level that I was coming out of college. You know, it's just new environment, new setting, no preconceived notions on you. Like sometimes it can be refreshing to be in a new space. So I'm hoping that that's the case for him. And good job to the Cowboys to getting something for him.
And here's the conditions for the 7th round pick, by the way. So they receive a 7th round pick in 2026, right? 7th round pick 2026. Hendershot on the 53-man roster or for 5 games this season. Or if he's on the 46-man game day roster for 3 games. So he's got to be active on game day.
And if either requirement is not met, we do not get that pick.
No, don't get it.
Well,
but you were going to
cut
waive him anyways.
You're gonna cut him,
Yeah.
you're gonna cut him
It's
anyways.
like what Isaiah said though, and I've said this a lot of times before when it comes to Peyton Hendershot. Again, when the Luke Schoonmaker card got turned in, it was only one way to go, or 2 ways to go, and you got to choose your path. Jake Ferguson took it as I'm going to. It's competition. I'm going to level up, and I'm going to mentor this kid at the same time. Peyton Hendershot dropped his helmet and kind of went into mope
Went to
mode.
the hole.
Right, and he never snapped out of that. And then he got injured last year, and that kind of stole more of his momentum. And then he heard the front office, giving so much praise to John Stevens Jr. even after the kid tore his ACL and hadn't played in a regular season game, basically saying, yeah, he would have made the roster.
And then they paid Brevin Spann
And then
Ford.
they, as a high priority undrafted free agent.
Yep.
So hopefully Peyton Hendershot uses this as a reset to snap out of that. And also Frank Gore Jr. just re-signed to the practice squad for Buffalo. So
Dream is dead.
yeah, that one. So Dante,
Very
Dante,
brief
keep
dream.
your phone open. Yeah, keep
was
your
quick.
line
It lasted
open.
all of 48 minutes.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to go down the list of cuts. These are the guys that are no longer with the Cowboys. Of course, a lot of these guys will return to the practice squad as early as when today, Pat? Like
Well,
pretty quickly,
as early as 49 minutes ago. So teams can begin building their practice squad effective noon today Eastern time, which was the moment we started this show. So it's a go now.
If we have anything in the next 10 minutes out of these names, Pat will let us know. Stop me if there's somebody that you want to talk about out of this list. So Josh Ball, Deontay Burnett, wide receiver, cornerback Josh Butler, center Cole Cabral, running back Snoop Connor, Malik Davis, also a running back, Denzel Daxton, defensive tackle was cut. You perked up there. You want to talk about him at all or no?
I like him.
I don't think we've seen the last of Daxton. Josh DeBerry, defensive back, David Durden, wide receiver, Princeton Fant, tight end.
Yes.
That's a big one.
100%.
Get him back, please.
Get him back somehow.
100%.
Okay.
That was a tough cut for me when I was doing my 53.
Because he's so versatile.
Yeah.
He's a special. Go ahead.
Well, this next one is going to be tough for you and tough for all of us, basically. Go ahead.
Viliami Fehoko?
Oh, nope. Never mind.
Oh, wow. Royce Freeman. The next one, Keemon Hall.
Yeah.
That one, Gilman
That's
Green.
tough. That's tough.
I know.
Had a pick 6.
Yeah. He played well in practices. He played well in the preseason. But it goes back to what we were just talking about whenever it came to Eric Scott Jr. and Julius Wood. Who are you in the middle of this secondary? Who are you cutting to make room for that guy? To make room for Keemon Hall? I don't know if there was just a guy.
And that's the problem.
I don't think there's a guy there that we could have done in that regard. All right, so Keemon Hall, Kelvin Harmon, Darius Harris, Willie Harvey. That's a tough one for me.
That's tough. How I felt
Willie
about
Harmon.
He played really well.
Yes,
my God.
He's going to be a really good player. Kelvin Harmon, I like Harmon. I like what I saw from him. He's young. He needs a lot more reps, but I think he has a future.
Over Billy Johnson and Cropper as those preseason games.
I like how he fights for the ball.
Yeah.
Yep. Alec Holler, tight end, defensive tackle Albert Huggins, wide receiver Cam Johnson, defensive end Darrell Johnson, defensive back Imani Johnson, linebacker Jason Johnson, wide receiver Tyron Johnson. I mean, basically anybody with a last name Johnson, not named Buddy. Done. Carl Lawson, defensive end. Is that a shock to you?
Nope.
We were talking about that the other day.
Not from what I saw.
The ramp up, right?
Just didn't have it.
It just from what I saw in the game, it just
Not ready.
Nope.
Okay. Wide receiver Racy McMath, linebacker Brock Mogensen, Jalen Cropper at wide receiver, Al Quadin Muhammad. He was placed on a injured.
He's on reserve suspended.
That's what it was. Okay.
So they don't have to worry about making a roster move for him until after week 1.
One game. So I like him.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
You were talking about him in the preseason game.
I like him.
Yeah. Running back Nathaniel Pete, defensive tackle Justin Rogers.
That's
Rogers.
Tough. That's tough. That's a 7th round pick in the 2024 NFL.
I had him on my 53. That was rough for me.
I think he'll come back.
Rogers,
I believe he
Daxton.
will.
I think he'll come
Absolutely.
back.
I
hope so.
I
If
believe
he's not claimed yet,
he's not claimed.
So
these, I'm looking at the wire,
wire. Yeah.
Looking at the wire, and these are all of those that were claimed by the NFL deadline of noon Eastern time today, right? So that means the latest round of waiver wires has been cleared. So now these guys are free to sign. So the Cowboys only lost 2 guys in Eric Scott and Julius Wood. Everybody else we're talking about
can sign.
It's fair game.
There you go.
It's fair game.
Dakota Shepley, center. Nathan Thomas, tackle. He's out for the season. Nick Vigil, linebacker. Damian Wilson, linebacker and defensive back. Julius Wood.
I like Damian Wilson too.
Nathan Thomas is only on injured reserve, not waivers.
IR. Yeah. Didn't cut. He's IR for the rest of the year.
I like the entire preseason linebacker room. Damian Wilson, Buddy Johnson, Willie Harvey. I like all those guys.
Nick Vigil.
Vigil was okay to me. He didn't pop to me.
On special teams.
Yeah, he's a special teamer.
Mogensen, too, showed flashes. He had a pick.
Mogensen, he didn't show up for me too much either. I like those 3. Those Wilson, Buddy Johnson, Willie Harvey. Those 3 to me, I like. I like Royce Freeman. I do. I just do. I think he's consistent. I think you know what you're going to get out of him, and I think he's a heck of an asset on special teams.
So Frank Gore Jr. out, Royce Freeman back in.
I would like Royce Freeman to still be around.
Back, baby.
But then again,
we are so bad.
But then again, if you're bringing Dalvin Cook in on the practice squad, then
where's the room for that?
Yeah, there's a room for that, right? Because those guys they're pretty much the same back, except for one does special teams. That's why I was surprised. We had a conversation on Monday about, are you going to keep Royce Freeman or are you going to keep Deuce Vaughn?
So here's a question, not to interrupt. Here's a question. So with the Cowboys, because Denzel Jackson wasn't claimed either, so he can be their +1. So now they can carry 17 because they get the IPP exemption for him, which for those that don't know, International Pathway Program, same thing that they did for Isaac Alarcon, Bahamas. But that's a conversation because it took me a while to try to wrap my head around. Right?
Stop it.
Yeah. Okay.
Stop it.
Loophole.
You can't say that.
Loophole.
But Bahamas is a country, Isaiah.
No, he's saying is like, how does he qualify for IPP? And he's right, but he does. So they're going with that. So my question
Mike
to you
McDaniel's
guys
playing,
is,
huh?
Stop.
Oh my God.
Mike McDaniels. For those who don't know, just go look at a picture of McDaniels in like 2020.
Oh my God.
Compared to now.
It's compared to now.
Bro, we did that on Good Morning Football. I told him he looks like Mark Anthony.
He went
Odyssey Jones.
He started his coaching career as like the generic
Preppy.
Generic question or character on like GTA.
Yep.
And then by the end of it, whenever you have like
Pacino.
millions and millions and millions of dollars in that video game and you get to buy all the new stuff, that's what Mike McDaniels looks like.
You are
That's
special.
what he's got now.
We're running out of time. I want to get you guys' opinion. So you can carry 17 because you get the +1 from Denzel Jackson. How many running backs are you carrying? Considering you get that extra spot on the practice squad, I'd be fine carrying 3.
3 on the practice squad.
3 on the practice
That's
squad.
a lot.
I'm not.
2.
Because you think about it, you have 3 on the active roster, plus a fullback.
Yeah, you got 4 already, basically.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right, so if I was going to do that,
I just feel like one spot is a gift.
So to your point, I would bring back Fant because Fant acts as
I'm
your.
bringing him back.
I want him anyways, but he's your tight end / fullback.
Okay, he did do a lot.
So
of
if something
fullback
was
work
to ever happen with
in the
Lipke,
preseason.
right? Not only are you gaining a tight end, you're gaining a fullback, and you're gaining a core special teamer.
That's true.
I'd have 2 guys. I'd have Dalvin Cook if he's indeed going to be signed, and then I would
can confirm he will be signed.
It is confirmed. Oh wow!
Got that text while we were having that exchange.
So there you go.
The thing is, like, by that's a whole other conversation.
Breaking,
but like,
it's definitely news.
It's broke now.
The reason, like for me, like Dalvin Cook, if he can contribute the way that he used to, then awesome. But I mean, what are you realistically expecting from him? Maybe 8 carries a game.
So then why not
on a heavy workload?
So then why not use the free spot?
Because I'm looking for guys that can give you flex. Like I'm looking for flex. Like if you're gonna have a running back by committee, give me a running back like Royce Freeman who's gonna give me 5 carries where I need to get down there on the goal line, right, to go downhill, and then guess what? He's on every special team.
Did you see enough from Nathaniel Pete? I'd like a young running back.
No, I don't. I hear you.
Like
but if you're gonna do this committee thing,
I'm asking. Like I'm just.
Yeah,
asking.
I did not see enough by him. Right? Okay. But the reason why I'm standing on the table for Freeman is because of the versatility. If I'm going to be sharing, if say you have 20 carries in the game, 25 carries in the game,
with you on
right? You have 3 running backs. What are you going? 15, 10, or not even, right? 15, 8, 5. You know what I'm saying? So you're rotating those guys through. That nobody's getting a heavy workload. So what else am I getting from you being on the roster today?
Special teams.
Exactly. Zeke's not playing special teams.
Yeah, not
Rico's going to play a little bit of special teams, right? Like maybe a personal protector, maybe. That's about it.
I'm in the same boat, and I wasn't necessarily on with the signing,
and have been.
The one thing with Dalvin Cook specifically is that he does have that upside. He has a veteran ability to share within the room and within the locker room. I just want to try it at this point.
I'm not
if you're
against
signing him to the active roster, then that's different. I don't want to take up a roster spot for Dalvin Cook. But with him being on the practice squad, there's literally no problem with that.
I just want people to understand when you have a running back by commit, typically you have a 2-headed monster. We hear that term all the time. You have a starter and you have a second guy, right? So if you had a like old school Zeke and Tony Pollard, neither one of them were going to touch a special team unless it was like kick return.
That's fact.
They're not touching kick return. I have 2 running backs that I know are not going to touch special teams. Now you cannot afford to have 3 running backs on the active day roster that aren't touching special teams. Yeah. You can't afford that.
Can't do it.
I agree. I'm with you, boss.
That's fair.
And no disrespect to Deuce can only return for you.
No,
right now.
That's just
that's
fact.
all he can do.
block.
And you have a Pro Bowler at a returner. And yes, I know everybody's going to say, well, the kickoff return has 2 returners. Yeah, but the other one's going to be blocking.
And one has to be blocking, which is why when that new rule came out, one of the first things we talked about on Talking Out in Oxnard was the added value that gives Rico Dowdle.
Yeah.
And now when you look at how the depth chart, when you look at how the depth chart shakes out, you're going to see Rico Dowdle back there. You will.
I think so too. I think you'll see him a little bit. We talked about it a little bit last night. That'll be another conversation for another episode, though, whenever it comes to Deuce Vaughn and his role on this team. If he's making a 53-man roster spot, there better be a plan.
You got to do a lot.
There better be a plan with Deuce Vaughn and what he's doing and what he's bringing. I'm glad he made it because he is a great guy. Love his dad. The whole story behind it is incredible, but at some point you got to contribute if you're going to be on the 53-man active
As long
roster.
as it's behind this offensive line. I don't want to see him behind backups. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Just running behind Cooper Beebe.
Get him on the field, man.
Those two guys,
They
kind of know each other.
BB, baby.
They kind of know each other.
He's done pretty well behind Cooper
Take the
Beebe
money.
before.
Give me the BB.
Before we get out of
BB
here,
gun.
want to shameless plug Isaiah this weekend. You're making the trip up to Canton, Ohio, right?
I am.
What are you doing up in Canton?
I'll be working with NFL Network. Steve Weiss, Bucky Brooks will be calling the Black College Hall of Fame game out there. It's going to be Virginia State versus Benedict.
What day, time?
Sunday. I don't even know what time.
I think it's like a 1 p.m. kick, something like that. It's Sunday afternoon. So
Sunday afternoon.
Check your local listings.
Yep, check your local listings. We'll be on there. It's national broadcast, so that'll be the only thing on NFL Network that day.
My guy's up and away.
And then we've got a little game coming up this weekend too.
That's a dope hat, actually.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's true, Brian. How about that? Whataburger game or Jerry Jones Classic. The Whataburger Jerry Jones Classic. I'll be on the call with Heckma Harrison, who's on Players Lounge. Nick Harris will be on the sideline, and we're actually going to be before you on NFL Network.
Nice, nice.
We're gonna.
So
be,
what you're saying is
we're gonna be
half
Saturday.
of the Talking Cowboys podcast is going to be nationally televised this weekend.
In different ways.
Take that, boys upstairs.
There's junior varsity, and then there's varsity.
North Crowley, Lancaster, two of the best high school teams in the country. North Crowley, I talked to their coach Monday. He said they have 24 Division I offered kids.
Jeez.
24. They're loaded. And their quarterback committed to the beautiful University of North Texas, baby. Go Mean Green. So we've got a lot going on this weekend. Be sure to keep
Georgia
up with
offered.
Isaiah. Probably. They may still. He threw 40 touchdowns last year.
Because Carson's on the way out. We need who's next?
Need some QBs. Follow Voice of the Star on Twitter. Patrick Nosey Walker for everything in terms of Cowboys cuts. Josh W. Rodriguez on Twitter as well. And then I am Stand Back. I am Stand Back. That's going to do it for us today on Talking Cowboys. For Chris Beam in the back, Patrick, Josh, and Isaiah, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from the Star in Frisco. We'll see you on Tuesday for some regular season action.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!